with me, Passenger Seat Radio. It is April 6th, 2026. You're on my 13-mile commute home. Actually, it's 8.6 miles to the auto adjuster. Yes, yes, yes. Do I have stories? Okay, well, again, oh Lord, it's been not the greatest couple of weeks. I'm not gonna lie. Adjust my thing here. All right, so let's get started. A week ago Friday, so I don't know, what is that, 9 days, whatever. My atrial fibrillation, AFib, decided it wanted to rear its ugly head. Been almost a year and a half since I've had any symptoms, and the AFib came back. And it usually goes away like within a couple of hours. This time it did not. It lasted and lasted and lasted and lasted. We're talking days of AFib. If you're an AFib sufferer, you know that is an unpleasant set of days. Hey now, who's here? Oh, hey, Cereal Milk's here. Yeah, so I had an entire weekend and a day or two on either side of the weekend suffering from AFib. Now, AFib is one of those weird things. I know if you've been listening to the show a long time, I've already talked about AFib at length. But for those of you who are new, because I have a lot of new people, AFib is a weird-ass thing. Basically what happens is your heart doesn't quite beat in sync. It almost feels like your heart's skipping. And it's creepy as hell feeling, by the way. If you've ever been really, really scared and you feel like your heart skips a beat, imagine that you're heading home from work while you're still at work listening. I know, right? Imagine like if you're on a roller coaster or you're in a haunted house and something jumps out and your heart kind of skips a beat. Imagine that for hours on end without stopping. That's what AFib really is. Some people can't feel it, which I thought was weird, but I can, and it freaks me out every single time. But the real problem with AFib is not that it's an unusual heartbeat, but because of the way there's a synchronicity between the heart chambers, blah, 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 blah. Essentially, there's a chance that blood pools in the lower chamber, which could coagulate, make clots, and then clots, you die, that sort of thing. So AFib is not a pleasant thing, which is why you're on blood thinners and all this other crap. But anyway, I digress. So that usually is gone in a day for me, or less than a day. It's usually about 4 hours and it goes away. When it does happen, now it was like 4 or 5 days. So that sucked. That's how the week before last ended and how last week began. Okay, so now, Wednesday, I'm at home, my work from home day, and I'm at lunch. My wife sends me a text and says, I'm going to the nurse, my heart's acting up. Okay, now, my wife is also a sufferer of something different called SVT. You'll have to look it up because I can never remember what it stands for. Basically, it's like a tachycardia where your heart rate just increases and maybe it stops, maybe it goes back down, maybe it doesn't. Now, she doesn't have the desynced heartbeat, right? All she has is her heart racing 185 BPM for 20 or 30, 40 minutes. Now, you can imagine, if you've never had your heart beat that fast, Imagine from a dead stop, right? You're just walking and you bust into a full-blown sprint. You burst into a full-blown sprint until you just can't do it anymore. That's about where your heart rate is, and hers sits there like that for like 40 minutes. It's not pleasant. Now, if it goes back on its own, and there are exercises and drugs and everything else you can do to try to get it to go back on its own. But if it doesn't, you go to the hospital. And once you're in the hospital, you don't get out without shitloads of tests, cardiologists giving you the okay. So Wednesday afternoon, so when the wife says she's going to the nurse, I know that it's pretty bad. So I let everybody know I'm off the rest of the day. I'm going to go take care of my wife. I get in my car and I head out, figuring that if she doesn't need me, then I've wasted an hour or so. If she does need me, I'll already be close to the school where she works. So I'm on my way. I'm 30 minutes out, and she texts me and says, I need you to come and get me and take me to the hospital. Because she doesn't want to call an ambulance, right? She doesn't want to call the firemen or anything like that. So I'm like, are you sure? Call an ambulance if you need to. She's like, no. You just come and take me to the hospital. So I drive there. There's 30 more minutes down. And so she said it had gone down. It was down to like 120 or something, which that sounds terrible, but when you're at 185, 120 sounds pretty good. So, and then when I got there, it went under 100 once you calm down a little bit. Because you know how that is. If your heart beats like that, you panic, which does what? Makes your heart beat faster. So, poor thing. Anyway, so I got her in the car and we started heading. She said she wanted to go to the hospital near our house, which makes sense. Quicker and easier to get there, closer to her things. I can make food runs, whatever. Anyhow, so we're driving and she's like, you know what? Let's not go to the hospital. Just take me home. And I'm like, what? She goes, no. She's got her little heart rate on. She's like, you know what? No, it's okay. I'm down to like 75. We're good. I'm like, okay. And then it goes back up to 120. Then back down to 65. And then back up to 110. And she's starting to get all nauseated. And it's like, you know what? We're going in. So Wednesday, about 3 o'clock, we pull into the ER. And if you've been to the ER, you know that they will stabilize you, and then you will wait in line with everybody else. So about midnight, she finally had a room and she was checked in. And for those of you who don't know much about heart-related issues, there is something called tropamines. Listen, I'm terrible at these names. But essentially, in a high level of these indicate potential heart attack. Now, when your heart beats for 185 beats per minute for 40 minutes, that level is going to spike. So what they have to do is keep you in the hospital and watch you for 16 to 24 hours to see if that tropamine level goes up or down, right? If it goes down quickly, then it was just SVT. If it goes down slowly, you had a heart attack, and there's probably damage to your heart, right? So this is what I spent my Thursday morning, Thursday day, and Thursday night worrying about whether my wife had a heart attack or not. So anyway, and then they have to do all of this stuff. The cardiologists show up. It's a whole big thing. So she was there all day Thursday. And then, so she stayed Wednesday night, Thursday night. Friday, it looked like she was waiting for a heart echo. So they do an echocardio of your heart to look for damage or other problems, right? But of course, every test, there's a line. Every test requires reading by somebody, and then it's got to be evaluated by your cardiologist. You're kind of in prison. And she was. They adjusted a bunch of her meds, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, long story short, we expected her to be there till Saturday, but at the end of the day on Friday, they cut her loose, which was actually great. So she at least had the weekend to sit at home and rest. Okay, so now why I'm going to the adjuster, because I know you want to know. So on Thursday, I told my son, I said, listen, get in the car. We're going to go up to her school and you're going to drive her car home so that she can have her car back for the weekend if she needs it, right? So we're like 2 blocks from the house. True story. So I'm heading, just to give you a visual, I'm heading northbound on 59th Avenue, approaching Cactus Avenue, if you want to look it up on a map so you can follow along. Right there on the right-hand side is like a pool shop next to a Circle K right on the corner, and across the street's another gas station called Marathon, I think. They changed names like I changed socks, so never sure. But anyway, so we're going to make a left on Cactus to head towards her school out in Surprise, right? So let me get in the other lane. I'm getting off here in a second. So the light's red at Cactus. There are cars backed up, 3 lanes on the northbound side. Their cars are backed up. So I start slowing down to get into the left-hand turn lane. Now, leading up to the left-hand turn lane is what they call a median lane. Now, in some places they call that a suicide lane when it's metered or timed, right? So during this time of the day, the middle lane is used for northbound, and for the other time of the day, it's only for southbound people. That's not what this lane was. It's a sort of a double turn lane, right? It's a lane that you get into when you're going to turn so you don't back up traffic on the main stretch. So I enter the tail end of that to get into the left-hand turn lane. A Ford F-350 truck juts out from between the cars. I had maybe a second to react. I hit the horn. I jerked my wheel to the left. I did visually assure myself there was nobody coming, so that was something. So maybe it was 2 seconds. The guy rams me in my rear corner panel on the passenger side. And it was a glancing blow, so his bumper like snagged my wheel well and like pulled it open like a tuna can. True story. So I'm like, what the fuck? And my son's like, holy shit. Is he going to run? And I'm looking in the rear mirror, right? Because he had finished that left-hand turn. And so I'm like, oh no, I'm going to get him. And so I do a U-turn and I start going towards him, but he pulls off into this storage unit facility. I pull over. This guy is a complete asshole. He says like 3 or 4 words the whole time. I ask him for his insurance information. I was going to call the cops. I know you're supposed to call the cops. I did not call the cops. Here's why. It was a glancing blow. Both vehicles were drivable. Nobody injured in the car. So I was going to try not to get the cops. I got the guy's insurance information. I told him to take pictures. I took pictures. My son was so pissed. Oh my God. I might have to get him on some downers or something, because like when we pulled off, he's like, my God, it was totally his fault. It was totally his fault. He jumped out of the traffic. And I'm like, calm down. Calm down. Nobody's hurt. We're okay. I think the car's drivable because I was able to drive to the storage unit. And he's like, you want me to handle this? Because I'll handle this. And I'm like, no. I don't want you to handle this. Just stay in the car. I'll go take care of it. So I get out of the car. The guy doesn't say anything. Doesn't say sorry. Doesn't say, are you guys okay? Doesn't say anything. Just looks pissed. And so I run over to my side, take a look at the damage. It looks worse than it is. Everything's drivable. Nothing structurally looks damaged. It just looks like he peeled back part of my tire well. So I'm not that upset. I'm more upset that the guy's being kind of a dick, right? And so he's over looking at his bumper. And I'm going to go over and take pictures of his shit too. Hell yeah, I'm going to. And I'm like, so how'd you make out? Or how did you make out over here? And he's like, no damage. Those are the first 2 words he said. No damage. And then, as I'm taking pictures of his shit, he runs off down the street to take a picture of where the accident occurred. And I'm thinking, why is he doing that? So I took a picture of him taking a picture of the accident site because I want to know what he was up to. What was he taking that picture for? Don't know. So anyway, I'm 5 minutes away, by the way, from the garage where I'm going for the car. So give me I'll need to wrap this up. So and then finally, like towards the end, he's like, you guys all right? I'm like, yeah, we're fine. And I said, I said we can drive away. Nobody's hurt. You know, have a good day. So we drove off, went and got my wife's car, drove home, and while we're driving to my wife's work to get her car, I call his insurance company. I'm drawing first blood on this one because there is no chance in hell that a guy steering between parked cars into a lane, hitting me in the backside, there's no way that that's not his fault. So I called his insurance company, said, hey, one of your insured drivers hit me. I'm here to file a claim because it's 100% his fault. So I give him quick information, said the guy said, an adjuster will call you the next 24 hours. Hour and a half later, on my way back from picking up my wife's car, the adjuster calls me and wants to take my statement. So I give him the statement. And he says, well, I talked to our guy before I called you, and he's got a different story. And I'm like, really? What's his story? He says you were parked in the suicide lane. That's what he called it, the suicide. It was a median lane. You were stopped in there, and he came out of the pool store. Not out of Circle K, which is what I said, because those entrances are sandwiched right together. And I said, listen, it's possible he came out of there. I don't know. What I do know is he jutted between parked cars. He jutted between parked cars and hit me in the backside. What does that tell you? And the guy's like, well, this is going to be a word versus word case, so you need to call your insurance company, and they'll handle the claim for you, and then they'll fight it out in arbitration. And I said, no, I'll have to go out of pocket for that. I said, this is bullshit. I said, listen, I know your job as an adjuster is to not pay my claim. What I am going to ask you is, how can you possibly cite this as being my fault? He jumped between traffic, turning left of all things. Nobody turns left out of there. And then my phone died. What kind of bullshit is that, right? So my phone died, and he called me back, and he left some bullshit message. And so on Friday afternoon, I called my insurance and said, listen, here we go. I gave them the whole story, gave them everything over and over again. And they're like, wait a minute. And they think that it's your fault somehow? I'm like, yeah. It's like, there's no way. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's absolutely bananas. Anyway, so the whole thing's a complete mess. And so now they said, listen, it's cut and dry. You're fine. We're going to go after these guys. You're going to be fine. Go get your car taken care of. We're going to take care of everything. And we'll go after them. Don't worry. I said, you know what? It's not even the money at this point. Well, it is the money because I don't want to pay out of pocket. I said, entrance through service drive. What? Am I even in the right spot? All right, listen, I'm going to let you guys go. This is Shane R. Monroe, Passenger Seat Radio, saying we'll see you next time. Take care.